All right. Minute Message with Micah here, continuing on our philosophy series. First, quick word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this time. Let this presentation accomplish that what you please, and let it not return into you void. Amen. All right. So, quick story. When I was in Alaska with Schlumberger, that was the oil field company I worked for, the blue and white company. They sent me to Alaska. Yes. And at the airport of Alaska, because here in Alaska, they got this on display, the bear with the elk or the caribou, the deer. It's, because you're in Alaska, right? When you go to Las Vegas, they're going to have slot machines there. They're not going to have slot machines in Alaska. They're going to have, the local stuff there. So that was cool. And part of our training, before you fly from Anchorage to Prudhoe Bay or the North Slope or Dead Horse, it's all the same thing. Before you can get to where you're going and do your job, you got to go through a bunch of safety training. And part of the safety training was they told us that we're not allowed to feed the animals, because if we fed the animals, they would know there's food there and they wouldn't hunt. They would just come get the free food, right? And that was part of the training. And bears know how to hunt. I mean, look at these guys. That is the freshest salmon that can be caught right there. And look, it's just back to back, just chowing down. Yeah. All right. Fun little story. All right. Moving on. Here we go. Okay. Philosophy 101. All right. So we've already covered what is philosophy. We talked about Plato's cave, subjective and objective morality. Are there absolutes? We covered that. If so, who makes the rules? And I didn't say, I left it kind of open-ended. I didn't say who makes the rules, because it's a 101 course, right? Yeah, inductive and deductive reasoning, and we'll do some of that here. And today we're going to go over some philosophical concepts. All right, we got Plato's cave. We're familiar with that in his book, The Republic. Yep. All right, so philosophical concepts. An intangible idea with universal meaning, usually followed by an emotion. You got anger, betrayal, evil, freedom, hate, jealousy, justice, love, and revenge. Not all of those are emotions, right? But it's an intangible it's a concept, an idea, right? So today we're going to talk about love. The philosophical concept of love. And it sounds simplistic. I know about love. Do we? Let's explore it. All right. And like I said, you got to define what you're defining before you define it. Yes. So just a general question. What is love? How would you define love? A definition for love. I'll leave it silent here and give you time to think. How would you define love? All right. A profound, as a noun from dictionary.com, a profoundly tender, passionate affection for one another. Love. A feeling of warm personal attachment or deep affection, as for a parent, a child, or a friend. As a noun, sexual passion or desire, right? Sex is not love necessarily, but they're synonymous, just like in the body message, time and death are synonymous, sex and love are synonymous, but they're not the same. As a verb, to have love or affection for, and they give the example, all of her pupils loved her, like the students would be, oh, I love my teacher, right? I love, I love Mr. Richards. He's a great teacher, right? But you're not in love with him, right? let me see. So to have a profoundly tender, passionate affection for another person, or they just get right to it, to have sexual intercourse or sex, right? And sex is not necessarily love. It's not. And we're gonna explore that in more detail. All right. So the Greeks, they really dug deep into philosophy. And so when they came across the philosophical concept of love, they had 4 definitions for it. And I'd say it's pretty solid, right? So what they defined love was in four different types. There's the agape love, which is a selfless, sacrificial, unconditional love rooted in charity. And for those who don't know charity, it's giving with no expectation of receiving, right? You're giving because you want to give. That's charity. It's charitable, not expecting anything in return. God's love. It's an enduring love, right? It's giving because you want to, not because it's not a formula. If I give this, I'll get that in return. No, that's not love right there. So that's like the highest level of love right there. There's the storge love, which is a familial love, which refers to a natural or instinctual affection, such as love of parent to their children and a child towards their parents, right? Family. Parents should love their child. There's an instinct there, right? And children are going to love their parents. And it's like there's a blood bond there. So, and that's meaningful, right? That's that storge love. And yeah, y'all might, not get along at times, but the long term, there's joy and peace there, right? There's love there. And then there's the filio love. It's an emotional connection that goes beyond casual friendships. And the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, that came from the root word filio. I think Ben Franklin had something to do with the name of that city. There's a connection that goes, I mean, we all got friends, right? People that but you don't really invest a lot of your time and thoughts. You don't really know that person at a real meaningful level. And so I put a picture of Batman and Robin there because Batman and Robin, like, they share a deeper connection that goes beyond casual friend. Like, Batman, he's got some secrets, and he's not just going to share those secrets with anyone, right? But with Robin, his sidekick, there's a deeper connection right there that he can trust and rely on with Robin, right? Yes. And this connection is not as deep as love. Yeah. A close friend you can share thoughts with that you wouldn't otherwise share with your family, right? That's that filio love. And then the last love, the love that everybody thinks of when they hear the word love, they go straight to the eros love, that sensual or passionate love from which the term erotic is derived. We got the love between a man and a woman, the sunset over the beach, which would be the West Coast, right? A little side note here. When I got married on the East Coast, I told the judge that was marrying us, we'd like to get our pictures with the sun setting over the ocean. And because I grew up on the West Coast, and he's like, the sun rises over the ocean here. And it's like, huh, astronomy. Who would have guessed? But That's that passionate love, right? That burning desire. So those are the 4 loves right there. All right, so getting more philosophical with it. This is how people love, but why do people love? Why? What what is it that drives people to love one another? What is that? Why do people love one another? It's a question. Where does love come from? Where does love come from? Does it come from within us? Does it come from an external source? Is it manufactured? Like where does it come from? Is it materialistic? And you kind of get into some deeper philosophical concepts of materialism, that everything comes from matter, right? Well, love is intangible, so it's fun to hear the materialists explain concepts like love and justice, right? Is love subjective or objective? It's a good question. It's a good question. Is there criteria for love, right? Is it subjective or objective? And if you don't know what those words are or how to define them or what they mean, you missed my intro to philosophy class. I think that was class 3 right there, or 4. Why is a heart associated with love? Why? Why is it always the heart? Why not the liver or the brain or other, you know, parts of anatomy? Why is it the heart? Why is the heart associated with love? What does love do? Does love take? Does love give? Does love hurt? Does love heal? Right? Very, very, very philosophical, very poetic. Many musical songs have been made just within this question right here. What does love do? If love was a color, what would it be? And most people would say red, right? And it's like, okay, well, what color would you equate with anger or being mad? Red. Right? So could we say love and anger are similar? No, no, right? So it's like that doesn't make any sense. So for me and my child, she disagrees with me, but for me, if love was a color, it'd be the deepest of blue. That's the one I would choose. Yep. Can love be bought? Can you buy love? Sure, you can pay for sex, but is that love? Right? Can you go to the grocery store or any store for that matter, and there's a box of love, there's a package of love on the shelf. Just you can just pick it up, put it in the cart, check out. Can you buy love? Can it be bought? Where does love begin? Where does love begin? Where does love end? Now answer this question with a question. Does love end? That's thinking right there. Where does it begin? Does it end? Where does it end? Can love be measured? Can you put it on a scale and measure its weight? Can you pull out a tape measure and measure it? Would it be measured in the standard or metric system? Can you measure love? Is it objective enough to measure with criteria? And can you put love under a microscope? Can you dissect it? Can you explore love to the point where you see its inner workings? at the quantum level, if you will, right? Just some questions to help get us going. All right, so agape love. Just some simple examples here, and I'll kind of go through these fast. John 3:16, we all 3:16, 17, the King James Version. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. And then same book, a few chapters down the line, Jesus says, greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. That sacrificial love right here, there. And I like this picture. This picture is really deep. You got a mom shielding her child from, war and disaster and pain and basically all the bad things that could hurt. And she's basically sacrificing herself to show her son some love and comfort, right? Protecting him from the world sacrificially. That's that agape love right there. You have the storge love, a natural instinctual affection, a mother and her child. The filio love, an emotional connection that goes beyond casual friendships. And here we got, two teenage girls. They look teenage, holding hands, and that's great. Obviously, and they got the shirts, best friends forever matching shirts. And this is good. That's a good thing. And I would that every teenager have a friend that they can rely on and confide in and trust throughout their teen years to help them through life, right? For that stretch of time in their life that's very difficult to get through, right? Teenagers have a hard time getting through them years. And I would that everybody has a friend that they can rely on like that. And being a father, you're going to watch some My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, that series. And I must say that was a good show. It was really good. They did a good job with it. It was entertaining and it had, good messaging. All right. Group of friends right there that they can rely on and trust. And then Batman and Robin, right? Like that still recording here. That deep connection that they can trust, right? It goes beyond casual friendships. And Eros, you got that romantic affection between a man and a woman. And so Eros was the Greek god of love, and Cupid was the Roman god of love. And contrary to popular belief, Cupid, who's, classified as a cherub, cherubim, plural in Hebrew, was not a little angel baby with a little bow and arrow with a heart-shaped tip and he'd shoot you in the butt and you'd fall in love with, the woman you were looking at. That no, that's mythology right there. And that Eros love, it's that burning desire from within, that passionate love. All right, so some interaction right here. Cookie Monster. We all know how much Cookie Monster loves cookies. I love you more than cookies. That's pretty deep love right there. What love would we call this one? It's not agape. It's clearly not sacrificial. It's not eros, right? The filio love, right? I love you more than, and we know how much Cookie Monster loves his cookies. You take away Cookie Monster's cookies, he's got no reason to sing down Sesame Street. You got these guys right here. Looks like they're in a busy downtown area. Got the little smart car opened up, taking time out of their free sandwiches for the homeless. You got the sandwiches. Those are some nice sandwiches too. Chips, some drinks, and paper towels. Some dignity right there. How awesome is that? What kind of love would we say this is? The agape love, right? Like, and we know it's agape because they're giving away free food, free sandwiches to the homeless. And do they expect anything in return from the homeless? Does the homeless have anything to give back to these guys? No, they're doing it at a charity because they want to. They want to give, right? That's that agape love. Selfless. And then him and I, these two young lovers looking each other in the eye, that's Eros love right there. And then I'll fast forward these. I kind of already got this. Roses on a piano, the romantic setting, Eros love, right? Storge, father and his child. There's a good one. You got a mother bird, and she looks like she plucked all her feathers off to give her baby birds a covering. You know, that's that selfless love. That's that agape love right there. You got that storge familial love, right? It looks like we got a baby on the way. Friends forever. I hope that's just ink and not real tattoos. But that would be that filio love right there, yes. And then now that's what I call love songs. You got When a Man Loves a Woman by Michael Bolton, I Think I'm in Love by Eddie Money, Dress You Up in My Love, Ellie Goulding, Love Me Like You Do. This is clearly talking about the Eros love. All right. So now that we kind of covered those love, covered the four types of love, right? Let's get into some Bible here. Good. It's all good stuff here. Let me, I think I can click that. No, I'm not gonna worry about that. Let me share screen. Right here, screen share. I hate this because I want to make sure. Yeah. Ooh. Yes. I'll share this. I want to make sure. I want to make sure that I am sharing the right screen here. Screen. Okay. So the rich man and Lazarus, and this is Luke 16:19 through 31. Oops. Let me. Oh heavens, here. This is the part I hate. We screen share and we will go right there. Share. Oh, twiddles. Give me 1 second here. Okay. I just bear with me here. I do not want to mess this up here. Okay. Let me turn the volume up a little bit because this one's kind of quiet.
And there was a beggar named Lazarus, who laid at his gate full of sores, and desired it so to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And so it was that the beggar died and was carried by the angels unto Abraham's bosom. Now the rich man fared sumptuously every day, feasting and dining to his delight. But it came to pass that he too died, and awoke in Hades. And while in torment, he looked up and saw Lazarus and Abraham afar off.
Father Abraham, mercy upon me, and Lazarus to his thick and mortar, and cool my tongue. I'm in agony in this.
My friend, remember that while you lived, you had everything good, and Lazarus everything bad. Now he is at peace, and it's you who are in pain. And besides, there's this great chasm between us that no one can cross over.
Abraham, he sent Lazarus to my father's house. My 5 brothers. Do not let them come to this terrible place.
Your brothers can read what Moses and the prophets wrote. That's what they should pay attention to.
It's not enough. If someone from the dead were to go to them, tell them, they would turn to God.
If they won't pay attention to Moses and the prophets, they won't even listen to someone who comes back from the dead.
All right. I hope I did that right. Let me go back to green here. Share that. Okay. Moving back along here. Yes. Okay. So just to follow up with that, man, so much right there. Just a few things I want to unpack. I'm not going to unpack it all. There was a certain rich man, which was clothed in purple and fine linen, just right there. Purple back in them times meant you had money. You had some cash money. You were wealthy, and fine linen. And he fared sumptuously every day. That means he ate the finest of finest foods. So, you got like Walmart and Target and the grocery stores right here. And then a step above that is like Whole Foods. Well, this man ate above Whole Foods, right? Like, think about these millionaires and billionaires. Like, what do they eat? You think they get their food from, you think they ever go to Oscar Mayer for their meats? No, no, they don't. Right? They only eat the finest, a steak tartare with a mushroom cream sauce. like just the finest foods. And then you got Lazarus, a beggar, and all he wanted, like he'd be happy to have the crumbs, right? The stuff that falls on the floor that they were just going to sweep up and toss out. He would have been fine with that, right? It's like today, you got some of these homeless people, they're not interested in food, right? They want money. It's like you can go to Chick-fil-A or Wendy's, offer to get them a meal, right? Hey, get whatever you want, right? Like if the menu's open, get what you would like. They're not interested in food, right? They want something else. But Lazarus, he just wanted some food. And then it says that this beggar named Lazarus, which another thing, what was the rich man's name? It doesn't say. It doesn't say. Because his name probably got blotted out of the book of life, right? What was Lot's wife's name? Lot's wife, right? Lot's wife, the rich man. Their names got blotted. Like we know of them, but their names don't matter because they're probably not written in the book of life, right? But Lazarus, his name was written in the book of life. It says he was laid at his gate full of sores. So obviously he's sick, right? And his family and his loved ones, they probably couldn't do nothing for him, right? Their limited money and resources and what they had available to him, they probably figured his best bet, if he has any hope of making it, will lay him at the rich man's gate that has the money and the resources and the availability to take care of Lazarus, right? We'll trust in the goodness of man, that this rich man will have mercy and pity on Lazarus. And they probably like, yep, just drop me off at the rich man's gate. And the rich man didn't care. No. In fact, the rich man had contempt for Lazarus, despised him because he was poor. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. That's, your bosom right here. In Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried, and in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torment and seeing Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. So after, you got to think about this. Even after the man realizes, oh man, I'm in hell, right? Father Abraham, send Lazarus, the beggar, send the poor man Lazarus to cool my tongue. My throat is parched in this flame here. Yes, send the beggar to cool my tongue. Like, even in hell, he had no repentance. It's not like, and he was talking to Abraham. All the communication was through Abraham. Not, hey, Lazarus, I'm sorry. I should have took care of you, right? Like, no, because they've got consciousness. They're aware where they are. And it's like, no, it's send the beggar man to cool my tongue, the beggar boy. And yeah, so those are the key points I want to touch on with that for what we're doing here. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. All right. Now that we got that, now let's move on to this right here. And I'm going to share screens. I'm going to go here. Let me make this bigger here. Oops, that's not one.
City Councilman is taking heat tonight after floating the idea that giving food and money to the homeless directly should be a crime. Advocates for the homeless are calling the idea reckless and harmful Fox 46's Ryan Kruger joins us live from Uptown tonight. Ryan, Councilman Tariq Bokhari isn't backing down from his comments.
No, he's not, Brian. In fact, he is saying that the city needs bold ideas to try to combat homelessness, which he says is a problem that keeps getting worse. Every night of the week, you'll find Deborah Woolard in Uptown feeding the city's
You
homeless.
see the same people every single day, and it's just like, instead of assuming what their issues were, I will have conversations, find out what it is they may need.
As the founder of the charity Block Love Charlotte, Woolard tells me she was irate when she heard a Charlotte City Council member say it's wrong to give money to individuals instead of charities.
Who are we to say not to give this person or individual something when you clearly see there may be a need there?
Monday night, Councilman Tariq Bokhari raised eyebrows when he suggested that people handing money directly to the homeless instead of to charities is harmful.
Perhaps we explore making that a misdemeanor. We have to do something different or we're never going to get ahead of it. I do not regret the words I said even one little bit.
Bokhari said he was trying to get city leaders to think outside the box on their 5-year plan to combat homelessness, because he says the current system isn't sustainable.
Whether it's tent city or the levels of aggressive panhandling or people that just aren't getting the help they need, it's not working.
But Woolard believes that his words were harmful.
Don't ever feel like you can't just give from your own heart at a stop sign, at a stoplight, on a bridge. If someone needs a hand, why not be that hand?
And Bokhari insists he was not advocating for a specific policy for it to be voted on. Instead, he was referring to that 5-year plan. City leaders are crafting a 5-year plan to try to end homelessness and expand affordable housing. They're supposed to unveil that plan and how they're going to pay for it in the coming months. We're live tonight in Uptown. Ryan Kruger, Fox 46.
Yeah, Councilman Bokhari speaking his mind on a growing problem. Ryan, thanks.
For a job well done.
All righty. Let me share screens back to PowerPoint. Right here. Okay. That was good. That was good. It was really good. Okay. So we got some moral foundational context, and then we got a real world example right there. So with that, we can philosophically explore this in greater detail, right? Does a city council member have love for his fellow man, right? That city council member. Yeah, no, he doesn't, right? If you're going to make it a crime to help out those in need, you clearly don't care about those in need, right? That's some reasoning right there. Does a city council member have love in his heart? It's a hard question to answer. It's like, oh, he might love his girlfriend, right? But does he love his fellow man? No. Does he? No. But generally, using that inductive logic reasoning to draw a broader conclusion, if he doesn't love his fellow man, he's not going to love, generally speaking, right? So I would say no, he does not have love in his heart. Clearly, he's only, it's like the city of Charlotte had a 5-year plan to combat the war on homelessness, right? It's like, well, we got to get rid of homeless people. He didn't like, what, how do I explain it? He was only interested in his ambitions and goals. That's it. He didn't care about his fellow man. So what has changed in 2,000 years? From the time of Jesus, with the rich man in purple, faring sumptuously, looking down upon Lazarus, the beggar, the homeless, to today. What's changed? Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. All right, so some deductive reasoning. Real simple, right? I like people with money. Homeless people have no money. Therefore, we can conclude I don't like homeless people. And that's probably how this man is thinking, right? He was probably on his way to work at city council. That's where a city council, downtown city hall. City Hall. He was probably, you know, at a stoplight or a stop sign, and there was probably a homeless man that probably had bad breath and was less than fresh, you know, panhandling, asking for money or food, whatever. And the guy was probably just like completely put off by it, if I had to guess, right? And he had contempt for this homeless man, right? And so that's why he's probably bringing this up like, hey, we got to make it a misdemeanor, right? You can't help out the homeless people. All right, so okay, so we've looked at the city council member. Let's look at the homeless. Can the homeless feed themselves? No, clearly not, right? That's why they need handouts. Can the homeless dress themselves? No, not really, right? It's not like they've got a place to stay where they can dress for the weather and dress for the occasion. No, they cannot dress themselves. Can the homeless take care of themselves? You know, some people say, oh yeah, you know, no one's like holding their hand every day. No one's telling them what to do. It's like, but are they really taking care of themselves? No, they're not taking care of themselves. Right. And who else? What other group of people cannot feed themselves, dress themselves, or take care of themselves? Like, don't think of like a group of people. Think of like life in general. At all the first steps. Who fits that criteria? Babies, right? So just using logic here, I'm curious how this city council member views babies, children, or kids, right? Like, he obviously doesn't like the homeless, right? And it's like, well, when you look at when you objectively, there's that word, objectively look at the homeless, they can't feed themselves, they can't dress themselves, they can't take care of themselves. They're very dependent on other people. Babies, you know, objectively kind of meet that same criteria. I wonder how he views babies. I wonder if he likes kids. That's how you like, this is thinking right here. This is thinking. Yes, city council members not like homeless people. Babies are like homeless people. The city councilman is not like babies. It may not be true, but it is logical. It is logical, right? Yes. Look at these cute little kids. Oh my goodness. This one right here. Where's my mouse? This mouse disappeared. This cute little baby, you know, just touching that right there. Cute little kids. They're so cute. All right, so now that we've examined the city council member from the outside, let's examine him from the inside. Let's say he got his way. Let's say he got his way, and now it's a crime to hand out sandwiches and food and clothes and money to homeless people directly. How many people will risk fines and jail for the homeless? Like, no, it's like, I'm not going to lose my job. You know, I'm not going to go to jail because I gave a homeless man, you know, the leftover box of fries, you know, from the drive-through. Like, nope. You know, it's like, say you just want to be charitable and you're caught giving a homeless man money, now you got a misdemeanor. And then it's like, well, you know, some jobs, even though it's like, oh, you got a misdemeanor for helping the homeless. Oh yeah, it's a new. Yeah. Well, we can't hire you because you got a misdemeanor, right? Yeah, we know it's for a good cause, and that's stupid, but the rules are the rules, right? People aren't going to risk that, right? So what does that promote? When you promote rules and laws and regulations and ordinance and statutes that don't show love to your fellow human being, that promotes apathy. That's not good in a society. That is a loveless society, and that turns into lawlessness, and lawlessness turns into depravity. The homeless people holding signs on the street corner and freeway entrance know that no one will give them anything in Charlotte, so they leave Charlotte, right? So let's just say if that did happen, and the homeless people know, like, oh well, the city of Charlotte, you know, they made a rule that they can't give to the homeless. So all the homeless people, like, they know they're not going to get anything there. So their chances are better elsewhere, right? So they leave. So where do the homeless go? Where's my mouse? So there's Charlotte. And if anybody knows, some geography about the state of North Carolina, I personally spent some time at right here in Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, when I was in the Army doing my Army airborne hua stuff. I was right there in Fayetteville, Fort Bragg. So, you got the ocean right here on the East Coast, but then you go from Charlotte, the more west you go, you start getting up in the mountains, like in Asheville, right? Asheville's a bigger city, but if anybody knows anything about the mountains, it gets cold in the winter, right? And I'm sure the homeless, they're not trying to be up in the mountains, right? Kind of makes you wonder what the homeless do in Denver. Be rough. But then it's like they got to go somewhere, right? But regardless of where they go, the fact is, if that council member got his way, they're not there anymore, right? It's like, well, there's no food here, there's no handouts. They moved along. Where have we heard that for? If you stop helping the homeless and stop feeding the homeless, they don't come back. Where have I heard that before? Where have we heard this before? The animals in Alaska. It went full circle. Full circle. So it's logical to conclude the city councilman views the homeless as animals below that of the human, right? Oh, well, if you feed them, they'll come back. If you stop feeding them, they won't come back. Kind of like if you're at a picnic, right? And you got a bunch of pigeons. I grew up in the city, and pigeons. Oh my! And I jokingly say pigeons are nature's bums. Bless these pigeons. They're so cute looking. I'm still recording, but it's like if you threw bread, it's like they start swarming you, and you're just like, okay, let me just throw some bread at them, get them over there. Well, they're gonna go attack that piece of bread, but then they're gonna come back. It's like you got more bread, right? So it's like if you don't feed them, they'll just leave, right? Because there's that's an empty well. So the city council member, we can conclude logically that he probably views them as animals, and animals are below that of a human being. And then if you view someone less than human, if they die or you kill them, it's of no, it's not like you murdered anybody, you murdered an animal, right? It's a slippery slope. The first step of a slippery slope. Now, are the homeless animals? They might act like animals, peeing and pooping everywhere, but they're not animals. Are the homeless babies? Now, they might act like babies, peeing and pooping everywhere, but they're not babies. Homeless people are people made in the image of God, and they all have value, right? They all have value. So what does it say about a society if you're not allowed to show love? It's a loveless society. Another word for lovelessness is apathy, or the absence of emotion. Anyone who would suggest you're not allowed to show love, that agape sacrifice, that charitable love, and not allowed to care about people even when they're cold and hungry, well, that's just evil. That's just evil right there. Like, if you help that person, I'm going to throw you in jail. Like, how evil is that? And where did the rich man end up when he died? In hell. Why? Why did he end up in hell? Because he did not love his fellow man. He did not. God commands us to love one another. If you don't have love, you die. right? Like a baby, a newborn baby. Love is security. A baby needs love or it will not be taken care of when it will die. When it will not be taken care of, when it's all swaddled up. If you just put a baby over there and you never take care of it because you don't love the baby, it's going to die. Absolutely. Love is security. Now this is love right here. The rich man caring about the beggar and feeding him when he was hungry, right? This is that agape love, that selfless, not expecting anything in return. I want to give you this because I want to, right? Out of the kindness of my heart, I want to give you that that charity. And this is what we're commanded to do, to love one another, right? Something as simple as that. Something as simple as that. Now, whether they are appreciative of it, whether they care about it or not, that's beyond the point. The point is that you saw someone in need and you were charitable to them, right? So with that, I will end it here, and we'll talk about Eros in the next episode, in the next class right here. Dive deep into Eros love right there. Hope you all got something out of this. I'm going to sign off here, and God bless.